Students of all civil service aspirant as well as state civil service, you are welcome in our The Economic IAS YouTube channel. And recently I am going to discuss the current issue day to day from Indian economy, so that you can understand what is happening in our economy day by day. Prior to understand the current issue, you should very clear about the fundamental economics. If I say Indian economy classified in 7 segments, simply national income, social economy, agriculture, industry, foreign finance and international public and planning and Niti Ayog, etc. If you clear about these sections, then you can easily understand. And as you know, recently our economy are facing different problems, and most of them is West Asia crisis. Because of it, crude oil prices day by day increases. If you think today, that is 20th August 2026, crude oil price increase in international market up to $93.8 per barrel. That hike in price is responsible for excess pressure on our rupee. As you know, Indian rupee is consistently depreciating, and today it reached up to 95.705 rupees per dollar. That kinds of pressure, as I priorly also discussed with you, increasing liabilities because of increasing price of petroleum product in international market, that increases the demand for dollar in comparison to supply of dollar, is responsible for that kinds of pressure, which is imported inflation from other countries. Or you can say simply, if the crude oil price will increase in India, definitely the petroleum price also increase. That can increase the transportation cost, and in this way influence all over the price of all goods and services which we are consuming day to day in our home. It means RBI is very aware. As you know, on 20th August, RBI turns more hawkish on inflation, means more aggressive towards the problem of inflation recently. As today, RBI again say that inflation rate is under pressure, means price under pressure. As I told you, in July the inflation rate in Indian economy was 4.45%, but the RBI medium term target is 4%. Tolerance limit of inflation for RBI, according to RBI, 2 to 6%. It means if our consumer price index inflation increase in between two limits, lower limit is 2%, upper limit is 6%, that can be tolerated by our economy. If it is exceed from 6% inflation on the basis of consumer price index, then number of member of monetary policy committee clearly said that we have to hike the repo rate. And as you know, if the repo rate is increases by the RBI, then it can adversely affect our consumption, our investment. In this way, aggregate demand, and again decrease the aggregate growth rate of our economy. Recently, on 20th of August, what the RBI prediction? RBI also giving that in 2027 GDP growth rate projected 6.7%. This is real GDP growth rate. What does it mean? Means when we calculate the GDP growth rate on the basis of base year, and you know base year recently changed 22 to 23, and again inflation expected and projected inflation by the RBI for the financial year 2027 is 5%. This is the projection given by the RBI, but RBI is very aggressive, very conscious, and he also intervene in the foreign exchange market so that he can sustain the exchange rate of Indian economy. But despite under market stabilization system, RBI selling the dollar in different international currency market so that it can stabilize the exchange rate, but it is not stabilized till now As you know, it was priorly $95, but consistently it increased 95.61 rupees per dollar, again 95.68 rupees per dollar, and today, that is 20th of August, it increased up to $95.705 per barrel, 95.70 rupees per dollar. Means our rupee is depreciating. Indian rupee is depreciating. I priorly explained it can multiple way adversely affect the economy. If our currency is depreciating, it also discourages the foreign investment inflow in our economy, foreign capital inflow. But recently multiple steps taken by the RBI, and if I give the statistics of 2026 20 August, round about $57 billion inflow were there in India because of RBI multiple policy, and our foreign exchange reserve position on 20th August 2026 is $700 billion. Why? Because of that kinds of policy steps taken by the Reserve Bank of India. Behind this whole explanation, what is my target? My target is very simple. You should memorize some data of economy. You should analyze how the economy is working. Now I will explain the theoretical aspect of this monetary policy and features, how they are working and what is the expectations and what will be its repercussions on our economy. Now think on behalf of monetary policy as well as fiscal policy. Now think what is happening in international market. Crude oil price increasing, as I told you recently, that is $93.08 barrel, $93 per barrel. If the crude oil price is increasing, means our import, think about that, liability will increase. That will create the pressure on rupee, pressure on Indian currency. As you know, Indian currency depreciated today 95.705. This is the depreciation of Indian rupee, means this rupee equal to $1. This depreciation of rupee, what it is doing, there is definitely imported inflation, as our monetary policy committee member predicted. If this imported inflation increase the consumer price, inflation in India, then RBI have to increase its repo rate. Presently there is no change repo rate. If repo rate presently it is constant 5.25%, but if it is future increase, what happened? Increasing repo rate will decrease both one consumption, other investment. Or generally in economics term, what we say, this is technically known as aggregate demand. If our aggregate demand is decreasing, then you can understand with the help of this diagram. Suppose this is aggregate supply, say this is aggregate demand, and this is the determination of national income OI, employment or output. If aggregate demand due to decreasing our consumption and investment, as the repo rate will further increase, if our inflation increase more than 6% on the basis of consumer price index, then definitely RBI will increase the repo rate. What will be in future, you have to understand, that will discourage this aggregate demand by decreasing consumption and investment. Now decreasing aggregate demand automatically decrease our national income growth rate, employment growth rate, output growth rate, that begin to adversely affect the economy. That is the possibility because of uncertainty in international market that can further discourage all over the environment. But our government is very serious, conscious. As you can see in previous months, our government tried to stabilize petroleum product price in our economy. But recently, what is the problem? Pressure on rupee and expectations of the economy. Negative expectation can adversely affect the all over economy. That can also discourage the output. Further, its effect will be on our fiscal policy. Tax revenue collection, as the output is decreasing, that also decreasing, that can increase the fiscal deficit. Again, there is the spiral between fiscal deficit and inflation. That is the worst situation. But our prediction is very clear. Government will definitely sustain this position without any difficulty because all macroeconomic fundamentals like foreign exchange reserve position, like growth rate of Indian economy, like government policy towards the changing situation, as we predict previous months see it, there is no problem. That's why, but we have to aware, our RBI have very aware about the situations, and day to day they are supervising every situation and they are going to control and check and balance. A student, if you go through these kinds of video automatically, your vision will develop, your understanding will develop, and you will never face the difficulty in your civil service pre and coming mains examinations. This is the way to tackle the Indian economy, but priorly you are needed to know about the basic and fundamental. I am also running here online classes as well as offline classes in S17, second floor, Bardhaman Central Mode, Nehru Yard, near Mukherjee Nagar. You can enjoy if you are coming at a very low fees, 50% reduction presently is there. You can enjoy and come to my coaching institute for the better information, better writing practice, better understanding. I am also conducting mains as well as objective questions test paper. Thank you.